the only thing missing from this edition of the Lazy Gardener Show was Joey Brandmeier bringing along a bottle of Bullet Rye last week.
I know, but I'm okay.
You're all right?
I got a little something.
You got her dosed
here.
up there?
I got a little something.
Oh, my goodness. The Lazy G part of the show begins right at the outset. Of course, as our fair listener to the podcast, you knew that already.
Exactly.
You knew that for sure.
The whole reason we're lazy.
Let's toss out some thanks to Joe Brandmeier for joining us last week. That was a lot of fun having
That was
him
a
on
lot.
the,
Well,
on
Joey's
the program.
Joey's good, man.
Yeah.
Joey's fun.
And I love that he brought the narrative that that he's not an super active gardener, because a lot of podcast listeners are that, and that's why we call it the Lazy Gardener Show. There's a balance between getting out there and really getting your fingers in the dirt and digging and doing, and there's a lazy / smart way to do that, which is what we're all about here on the program. But Joey, he's just kind of a hands-off guy. He's got the lawn service.
He wants to see it work. He wants it to be alive and look good.
Yep.
But that's, what is it? It's probably 80-20 again, like everything else.
Exactly. That's a good point.
The people that are out there that are into it are they're crazed about it and they live it. And there are people, when I had my garden centers, if it was a good spring and you put stuff in, and I was never a gardener, but it was a long spring, that's when they would come out.
Yeah.
But if it rained and was clammy, they never came out. But the crazy people, the ones that love their gardening, they didn't care whether it was pouring. They'd be standing there on Mother's Day buying stuff, just because that's what they always did. But you either gained that 20% or lost that 20%, depending on Mother Nature.
Hey, when you had those businesses going, I'm going to bring up my good friend Blake Middleton, who's a longtime sailor, used to coach the Stanford team. I mean, he's been a sailor and a world class sailor for a long time, and he's the guy that coordinates all of the races at the Wayzata Yacht Club.
Oh, okay.
All right?
Yeah.
And in the boathouse there, up above the boathouse there are some really nice little apartments. He actually lives in one of those, so he's looking out over the docks.
Got a nice location.
Yeah, real sweet. Not a
bad gig.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a small little pad, but
so
not bad at
so
all.
what?
I could live in a studio, one-bedroom apartment like that any
right
given
on the
day.
water?
Right there with the dock
Hello.
right there. But I bring it up in the context of Blake because he's always asking me, and my schedule's busy like yours, and he's like, we got to go sailing because I never get to go sailing. He's always out there in the speedboat setting up the markers and running the races and such. He never gets to go sailing. Yeah, shoemaker shoes. So my question to you is in that context, when you had the garden centers, were you tired at the end of the day, or did you go home and garden? Did you go home and get some of that stuff done, or was it like, Jesus, don't come over to Bobby Jensen's house and look at his yard?
You could come over because I was trading with people who say, hey, you want to do my lawn? Okay, I'll give you $100 worth of credit.
Gotcha.
Here's all these flowers. Can you plant them at my house? Go see my wife.
And I'll give you these flowers as the bonus.
Right.
That's your deal.
Or just credit.
Or credit.
So I always, people,
nice.
when I moved out here, people would say, well, what are you going to do? You got a house now. You got to do it. I said, I never did my lawn. I never plowed. I never planted flowers. I directed, but I physically never did.
Never did it.
And then when you come out here and I'm doing more of the landscaping, same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kind of farm it out a little bit.
Well,
Sure.
BT, when you go home, do you pretend to be on the radio the whole time you're home?
Hello, dear wife.
Yeah, right.
I'll be back to dinner in 3 minutes.
Right. But it is that way. I mean, when I go home, I want to read. I want to go fishing. But I can't wait for the day and the times when I'm retired, and that would be all of this stuff that's bouncing around in my head would then be my hobby.
Yeah.
Then I would really do it, and I still do a little. I putz now.
Yeah.
That's what I do. But if you're out doing this from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night, you really don't want to go home and then jump in. I have a garden, like we talked about, but and I love my tomatoes and my all the stuff that with kale and that I've got in my garden, and I putz with that. But I'm mostly a container gardener now. I got plants in containers, nice and easy, controllable, easier.
Now, on behalf of our Yiddish friends or Yiddish-speaking friends that may be listening right now, I'm not calling you out, but the word is futz.
Futz.
And then a putz is a word that describes a male
yeah,
appendage.
But you don't
a certain
say,
male appendage.
Oh, I know that, but putzing.
I know, it's like saying I'm dinking around.
Dinking around.
I know, I get it.
If I said futzing, nobody would know what I meant.
Yeah, well, I think they would.
I'm a goyim. What do you want me to do?
Lighten up, Mr. Semantics. What are you doing here?
I grew up in New Jersey. I know I'm a goyim. I understand.
You're killing me here with your futz putz. What are you doing?
Jeez.
Well, the point is, you can futz with your putts and
No, I don't want- yeah,
but,
well.
but you know, keep that on your own.
I
You know,
keep that my own time.
Yeah, on your own. That's that retirement
Right,
years that
right.
you're looking for.
Well, what's he doing out in the garden there? It looks like he's futzing with his putts.
Well, good thing he's behind a big
Right,
bush.
right.
No, I don't want to bring up bush now. That's going to
Now,
just
see,
start us
that-
down
but
another
seriously.
trail.
All right.
Jeez. I didn't know this show just made its way into the gutter so quickly on my behalf or
Oh, I
with my
kind of
direction.
thought. I kind of thought it was headed
Yeah,
there.
all right.
Right from the
It's-
beginning.
It's the Lazy Gardener
It was
show after all.
inevitable.
And all that happened without the bullet rye. Look what
There you
happened.
go.
Look,
Imagine if we were drinking more.
all unfolded without the
Yeah,
bullet.
imagine that.
It's BT and Bobby Jensen with the Lazy Gardener Show here on the Alive and Social Network. Thanks for listening. We do appreciate that. We're doing the show smack dab in the middle of the month of sweet July.
This is getting to be. It's it's not the heat of the summer, but it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So there are things you should be looking. We just said I don't, but I'm going to tell you what to do. You should go out and putt, putts, whatever.
No,
the hell.
please, no, I don't. I didn't mean to call you out.
Okay. Now I
you,
can never say
let's-
this
no,
word the
let's
rest of my
putts.
life.
No, because I say putts too. I
Okay.
just put it out there for fun.
Thank you.
Because
for
it led to
ruining
my
mind.
because it led to my futz with the
Right,
putts joke.
okay.
I was a setup, Bobby. It was a setup.
and I threw the softball for you.
Yes, thank you.
Get out and look. There are things
Yeah.
going on in the garden right now. There's bugs, there's disease. And the thing, like we always talk about, BT, the lazy part of that is getting out and walking around, because if you wait 3 weeks and all of a sudden it's out of control,
Yeah.
what good is it? Now
Yep.
you're fighting, and 90% of us quit. The bug
It's just too
infested.
much. It's too much.
So if you're looking constantly as you're going out there, I think it's just better. You take care of little problems as you see them. So the garden, flowers, it's time to start deadheading.
Exactly.
You start losing flowers, start deadheading. Roses. Now, we're going to have this guy on, Clarence from the Arboretum.
Okay.
He is a way cool guy. He knows more about roses. He's forgot more about roses than I'll ever know. And we were talking the other day, and people prune roses, but do they prune them the right way? And the right way to prune roses is after the flower, you go down to the next set of leaves with five.
That has five
That
leaves.
has 5 leaves, but the leaves, that one has to be pointing out,
Okay.
not in.
Okay.
So it's the next set of leaves with 5. That's where the bud comes from, right in that little
never knew
crotch
this
area.
technique.
But it's got to be the flower it's got to be the 5 that's pointing out of the bush, not into the bush.
Okay, so if you have a 5 that's pointing in, and then you go down lower, there's a 5 that's pointing out.
That's the one you go
to that one.
That's the one you
I
go.
see.
And you'll get
'Cause-
faster blooms by doing that, because first of all, what's their job? Go to seed,
Yeah.
rejuvenate.
And that's what it wants to do, is push out away from the stem and
Right.
away from the cluster or whatever.
So
it
if you
wants
cut
to do
it
that.
there, your roses will bloom quicker, faster,
That's
and you'll have
cool.
more of a continuous bloom. And a lot of roses now in this ridiculous heat, they do slow down. Some of the newer varieties will do much better, but the older varieties, in the heat of the summer, they kind of like slow down a little bit. They love it when it's cool. They'll start up in September, And then the other thing is start thinking about planting that second crop of cold crops, your lettuce, your broccoli, your
Yep.
cauliflower. You can put seeds in anytime now, next couple of weeks.
That's what I'm working
Put
on
those
right now.
seeds in the ground. You want to start them in the pots now inside your house? Time to do that. Garlic and onions, when you see those bottom leaves that are yellow, the very bottom ones,
Yep.
ripe. Pull them.
Get them out then.
That's
Yep.
when you take them out,
Okay.
right? You cut the scapes off. First, the scapes, way cool. Fry them scapes up, baby.
Nice sauteed scapes, man. I love those.
Little butter,
I-
olive oil.
I top my steak with those. I just
Nice.
just lay them on top there,
Nice. They're right up there with ramps.
or even a hamburger. I like to just
Sure.
have a burger on the grill and take those
It's got a
sauteed
very
scapes.
unique flavor.
Yeah, it's not oniony. It's
Right.
it's a scape flavor.
And there's a thing for free, for beautiful, for a whole nother deal that people probably just cut off and throw in the garbage.
Right. Put it in the compost bin or whatever
Right.
the case may be. Yeah, but
But
it's tasty.
those I've been looking at some garlic. I've been looking at some onions, and it's time. They're starting to turn, and then just dig them up, and it's a beautiful thing.
Now, I got a real landscape garden, as you know, and so I fell behind. And I did want to get some lettuce in. I wanted to get some other edibles in this year, and I just kind of fell behind because I'm working so hard on.
You are.
I'm really doing some
You're rejuvenating.
yeah,
You're
I'm-
rejuvenating your backyard.
Yep, I'm doing a serious sort of restoration, rejuvenation job
Right,
on the backyard with the waterfalls and the pond.
It's a
and all of
beautiful
that.
backyard.
I appreciate that.
I'm sorry that you let it go to pot.
Well, the last couple 3 years have been
Busy.
You have been busy.
Kids,
and,
family,
all sorts of stuff. And
Those things get in the way. you know?
Well, it's not to say that it looked like hell all the time. I mean, I'll show you a picture from last summer. I got it to a good point last summer that lasted about a week.
Why am I thinking you're the only one that thinks it looks super bad?
Oh, well, yeah, I think a lot of people are like that.
Anybody that comes in your backyard, they're amazed by the scope and the size of it.
Yeah, you got a good point there, but because I see all the stuff.
You see it every day.
Yeah,
see it.
I see the stuff that I want to get to. And I don't look at it, I'm a gardener. It's not work for me. I'm looking at my hobby. I'm looking at my entertainment. And I'm looking at, really, I like to call it garden yoga, because I get out there, I concentrate when I'm in the garden. I concentrate I focus on my body. So I mean this earnestly. I focus on my core. I focus on my feet positions, and then I purposefully go for weeds and stretch while I'm doing. I do a big stretchy thing, and then I go to the other side and I stretch and I'm grabbing, I'm weeding, I'm doing. Or if
you're not crawling around on all fours.
Nope. I will when it needs to happen.
Right.
But I'll put knee pads on for that because
I love knee pads.
I'm 56 years old.
I got
this year.
stuff in my knees.
Yeah.
I love knee pads.
I want to keep these rascals working,
right.
But I want to keep the rest of me working too. So yeah, I stretch and I do that. So it's my garden yoga. But with that being said, I do want to get some of those lettuce and other plants in there because I missed out on my opportunity this spring getting all this other stuff done. So now I can do it.
And better. And better.
Yeah.
In my opinion, this is the season.
Second crop. Yeah.
Well, because going into cool instead of going into hot.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's totally better. So peas, broccoli. All of those beans. You could probably get beans in now
if you put them in.
If you put them in now, another 3 weeks, you'll probably get a frost on your beans.
I'm the only one that likes the beans, so Mrs. T doesn't eat the green beans. So sure. I'll just but I'll just leave those alone. But the leaf lettuce and some of that other stuff that we'll use for salads and for cooking and all of that, I'll definitely get some of those in now.
Such a chef that she is, and she doesn't like hardcore verts or whatever the hell they call.
Oh yeah, well she just never had a taste for them. Like a lot of folks have. You'll find people that love cheese and go, what? But blue cheese, I just can't. I can't cut
Munster.
Or the Munster, or the. I'm a Limburger fan. I like the Stinkies.
Do you really like Limburger?
I like the Stinkies.
There's a no Limburger rule in this room, right?
I do know that. Yes.
Okay.
It's the sign clearly posted on the studio door makes that. I mean, you'd think it would say knock before entering,
it says.
Or look at the red light and then open door slowly. But it interestingly says no Limburger. So yes, I do know the rule, Bobby. I do know the rule. I want to ask you something about my front yard, and I think it'll relate to other people in the lawn side of things. I did good fertilizing along the way.
Yeah.
I got a lot of iron in there. I just did an iron spread the other day.
Okay.
Got some really nice green, lush,
good healthy.
I got some good health from the grass that's out there. However, I've got a preponderance of clover. Now, we've talked about this before. I don't mind leaving some clover there, but I've just got so much. And the bunnies are loving it, but there's large swaths of clover where I want more.
Is it shady?
No, this is full sun.
Full sun?
Yep.
Okay.
No, from front yard's full sun. And I want to get more grass growing in there and get that. Again, if there's some spots of clover, I'm fine with that. But again, too many large swaths of clover. What can I do?
Well, I get railed on this all the time because I'll say, all of the organic, homemade recipes to kill everything.
Yeah.
And half of them,
if you're doing the white wine vinegar, vinegar, or this or that, or
wreck the soil.
Yeah.
I'm a big soil guy.
Yes.
I'm really
Agreed.
a big soil guy. And if you're putting something on there, whether it's vinegar, whether it's borax, or whatever it is, you're really affecting the soil a lot more, in my opinion, adversely than if you mix up the chemical properly, put it down properly, benignly put it down somehow. And you don't spray every inch of your lawn, and I know you wouldn't. You go out.
No, I'm very diligent.
Spray those areas.
I use your technique of
painting it on
the bigger leaves. I totally do that. So it's just on the leaves, which is where it's going to do its job.
And I don't have any problem with that. There's a lot of clover killers out there. I would think almost every broadleaf weed killer's got it'll say clover on it.
Clover, yeah.
But otherwise, it's digging it out. You're not even going to be able to do that. You'll leave a root. You'll leave a little piece, and it'll grow back. You know better than anybody, the best defense against weeds is a good, thick lawn.
Right.
Weeds like it hot and dry and barren and infertile. Lawns like it cool, moist, So one, always keep your grass 3.5, 4 inches high.
And I do. My blade is set it's
As
at
high
the
as
highest
you can
level.
sever.
Highest level.
And that shades it, so therefore it makes it cooler. Conserves water, one. Two, it's not really, weeds don't really like it in that situation.
Yep.
So you have a couple of choices. You can kill now or wait another couple of weeks, kill. And then the problem is everything that I would knew is moved. I used to say, you got to put your grass seed down at the end of August. Well, we're getting nice weather through October now.
Well, and zone 4 is becoming a 4.5 pretty quickly.
Right. So my thing is, you don't want to kill too early because then it's a pain in the neck to plant grass seed. So you might want to live with it a little while longer.
Okay.
But you're pretty diligent. Now, it doesn't matter if you're going to go out and water it. If you're going to go out, maybe cover it with a little shade thing, so that light little cloth.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you're that good, yes. If you're not that good, if you're a lazy gardener, then wait till it cools down a bit.
That's what I'm going to have to do.
And I would wait. I don't know. Everybody, the rules have changed so much with the seasonality. Like I think we've moved 3, 4, 5 weeks in that direction.
Yeah. So the clover is, like I said, it's in such large patches that it's okay. What I'm trying to do is set up the front yard because we're going to do some movie nights coming up. You and Phyllis will be invited over.
Right.
Bring Darian over. Let's have some fun.
Cool.
Bring your grandson over. It'll be fun because I have a big, I have a big screen,
right?
And I'm mounting it under the eaves in the house with some chains so it comes down at viewing level, not up too high.
All right.
And I got the LCD projector guy.
I
I bought
that.
this years ago. So anyhow, we're doing movie night, and it's fine right now because again, the grass height is high. The clover's okay to lay a blanket down on. It's fine,
Right.
But again, I'm trying to get this a little better as best as I can for movie nights. But what it means is, I think you're right. Then I'll wait until September.
Because you're going to have dead yellow.
Yeah.
And then after dead yellow, you're going to have baby little grass that you don't want people standing on anyway.
Yep. So I'll wait after we're looking at doing a movie night in August, a movie night in September, and then after that second movie night, then I'll concentrate on the grass. And so then I'll get in and have to do something with the clover and then get some seed down and away
you
we
could
go.
even, in between the two, kill off the clover or start to kill the clover because it's going to take a little while. It's not going to die overnight.
Right.
But one thing I think that you do that I think is great, you get out early in the morning. A lot of people don't like, go in the garden because they come home at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's 95 degrees.
I'm up at 5:36 like you are every day,
And
that's my
there,
favorite time to be out there. The
is.
cool part notwithstanding, it's just the birds are chirping. I got that fresh mug of coffee going.
The traffic's down, the noise level's down, nature's alive, waking up. Well, we both know. I either like coming home that early or getting up that early. One or the other.
Yeah, exactly. It could be the stumble into the
those
garden.
Were the days.
The stumble into the garden
Those
days.
were the days.
They're long behind us.
We can't do that anymore.
Hey, before you dial in on July, sweet July, and I know you got some great notes because here we are, middle of July. Your Brainerd adventure recently had some calamitous storms that you just avoided, and your pals that are up there that you were visiting. Geez, some stuff happened swirled around them.
We were up there Sunday and deciding whether we should go for dinner, stay, get up Monday, which is one of my favorite things to do, and come back Monday morning
come back
early.
Monday, yeah. So you get a Sunday night there.
Get a Sunday night, which always at the lakes is the nicest night. The lake
because everybody
goes. You can get a place at the bar. There's not a lot of waves in the lake. Everything calms down.
That lazy garden will wait for you till Monday.
Exactly.
You're fine.
So, but we didn't because it wasn't a great day. It was kind of over. It wasn't really over because it just wasn't a day that was like, it was a little choppy.
Yeah.
So it was like, we're not going to do the jet skis. We're not going to, let's 3 o'clock or so, let's head out.
Let's head out Sunday.
So we get home and then I'm looking on the television or I have a tornado warning thing on my phone and it's beeping like crazy.
God, was it ever.
And all I can say is this, my buddy's house, every tree that fell down except a few missed his house. They fell around his house.
Wow, big trees too.
Huge.
Sizable. Wow.
Oh, 85-mile-an-hour winds. They're saying
straight
right
line
now.
winds.
Straight line 85-mile-an-hour winds.
Good God.
The only thing he had was a little roof damage, no leakage, and some soffit damage. So he, God bless, not good. But I think the coolest thing, all of that, not one injury was reported.
Oh, that's so cool.
And I talked to some people. They were telling me that a person that they knew was driving down the road in a pickup truck as the trees were dropping, and one hit the back of his truck, and he just kept going. Nothing.
Jeez.
I mean, look at the pictures. If you're in the Minnesota area or you want to go on the Google, look at the pictures, man. It is lots of trees. And now what's going to happen? Who knows? We're going to have a lot of dead fall, which fires could happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Look at the BWCA with that straight line wind situation
Exactly.
years ago.
Exactly. But nothing has never really exploded yet.
No, but the point is the potential was always
well,
there.
Now think about it. How many years ago that was? How dry that stuff must be.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of that's rotted now.
Yeah, probably.
I had some pals that have been up
20
there.
years, right?
Oh yeah, 15 or whatever.
Right,
but 10 plus for sure. But yeah, there's so much of that.
They did luck out.
So much of that new growth has come up now and a lot of that rotting has happened. That's
pretty,
of course
and replenishing. It's real pretty too.
Replenishing the forest floor. That's
Mother
nature's
Nature.
way.
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm more concerned with what the understory is going to do up there now. But I know Madden's is closed.
Yeah, how about that?
Cragen's is closed. I just heard that Grandview reopened.
Okay.
But nature's crazy thing, man.
I'll tell you what, here's something you brought up a second ago in the midst of this story, and that is I've got it on my phone, you got it on your phone, and I do the Weather Channel, and they send me the alerts.
Right, I have something from the Red Cross.
Whatever you got.
Right.
But the point is, that's a lazy gardener technique because when knowing that storms are coming in, I'll be watching that thing, and I'll watch the storm cells, and knowing if I might have to go out and cover some stuff up, or do some things.
Think about all the hail damage.
So I got a lot of potted plants too. I've had some situations where drag them in, put them in the garage real quick, take them back out later, because that's going to save you. That's the lazy gardener technique. You might have to lift those rascals now, but it's going to save you all of that repotting and all of that if you didn't do anything about it.
And then what we were talking about also, we didn't even mention hail. We talked about wind.
Yeah.
I mean, hail tears it up. It breaks it up, the leaves. So you have to look at the plant and say, what's going on here? If the plant's broken in half, lose it. But if it rips a couple of leaves or prune them off. Give it a nice little haircut and let it rejuvenate itself. But, there was a lot of hail damage.
Yeah.
There was, and that was even down here. That, up there, I don't even know if anybody had any hail. It was just first they thought it was 4 tornadoes. But amazing thing, man. I'm going up next weekend. I'll let you know.
Yeah, send me some pictures.
I'll send you some
pictures. We'll post those on the Lazy Gardener site because that'd be something to look at.
Because we have a house we rented, 17 of us, and it was like, okay, we're going. The people that were there, they couldn't get to them because the road getting to the
was covered with trees.
Right. It was it's about half a mile driveway through the woods. And I called the real estate agent and said, well, you don't have to worry about the woods anymore. There's no woods there.
Did you have to do that while I was taking a sip? I almost did a spit take.
There's no woods there. Half the dock is gone.
Almost through my nose, Jensen.
Right, I'm sorry, but it depended on where you were. I guess anybody on the north side got nailed.
Oh, boy.
But that's Mother Nature, and you deal with it.
Well, and good for your buddy, too, because as you mentioned to me earlier in the day here, and I wanted to bring it up on the show, your buddy had some construction done on the house. The builders hadn't signed off on it yet.
He hadn't signed off to the builder.
Or he hadn't signed off to the builder. Right. Point is that it was on their insurance.
The builder got his ass out there immediately.
So he had to take care of that
right.
stuff because it was still under his purview.
He got his butt out there immediately to check it. God bless. I mean, but again, all of the damage, all of the dollars, all of the woods, all of nature that can be replaced.
Yeah.
But nobody got hurt and no one died. That's a beautiful thing.
I want to bring up one more quick note, Lazy Gardener style, about the Weather Channel or the Red Cross or just having that active radar thing that sends you a quick message or a text. Lazy Gardener Part 2 is that not only does it let you know if you do have a huge cell moving into your zone that you're going to want to move plants inside or cover some up if you can or whatever the case may be. The thing I love is it's letting me know when I don't have to do that stuff. The radar is so accurate that I'll watch storm cells coming in. I live in the southern part of New Hope, and I'll watch storm cells coming in, and that happened a couple of weeks ago, whereby I had a storm cell, literally, Bob, a mile to the north and west of me, and another, and pretty big active storm cells, another mile to the south and east of me, and they just went right around me, and I was ready to go out and do my moving, but lazy gardener style, I was able to watch it, and what was I doing while I was watching it? Sipping a cold Ham's beer in the garage and taking and knowing that in lazy gardener style, I didn't have to do something.
You were on point, man.
I was
just
on
in
point.
case. Just in case.
So it works both ways. It lets you know when you got to do some stuff to save you effort later, and it lets you know when you can just let her be.
And the one that I have, I can put multiple cities in it.
Oh, yeah. I got that too.
All my kids, where whatever city. I'll get
you get an alert.
Sometimes I get a little too many alerts, but I know what's going on in Mankato. And hello, get out of the house. They don't look for nothing.
Are you home? Yeah,
right.
Get
Where
in the basement.
Are you?
Get downstairs. All right, let's dial in on July a little bit more here, Bobby J.
All right, let me see. We talked about tomatoes. Feed those tomatoes.
Get those tomatoes fed.
Feed those tomatoes.
Should you be doing anything with stems now? I mean, clipping, just to enhance more growth?
There's a lot of theories about that. I've read studies that said cutting suckers out doesn't increase the yield.
Okay.
And then I've read, I don't know if I've ever read something that says, besides it feels like it's an old wives' tale.
Okay.
So I'm not a big guy on cutting the suckers out, even though I read and says, well, it's time to cut your suckers out.
You see it all the time.
But I did read a real study that said it doesn't do anything.
All right, then.
Minimal.
Let's believe the horticulturalists.
Let's do that. Keep weeding your garden. You know what's going to happen now, man. They're out there. So get out. If you haven't mulched, get some mulch on the ground. I don't care what it is. Newspaper, cardboard, anything organic. Get it down on the ground and stop those weeds.
I'll tell you one thing, or in the case of the clematis story last week with Joey B., you reminded me of something that I just kind of tucked it away and forgotten about it. So I've got a couple of new clematis plants that Mrs. T brought home, and I've got them out in the front yard, with the sun, like I said, full sun. But you know what? It was like, God, these guys were struggling. And so, but they're still in their little pots, and I'm keeping them watered. Right. But I realized that they weren't cool on the bottom, hot on top. Right. They were too hot on the bottom. So I just took a couple of, I keep a lot of these just white towel, just white hand towels. Right. Because we had our kitchen business, I got dozens and dozens of these white, the chef's towels, the white hands towels.
Nice towels.
Yeah, but I just use them for utility towels now, washing the dog, this and that, but I'll even lay them down as an oil drip cloth because I got a lot of them.
Because you got a lot of towels.
But the point is, I took a couple of those rascals and just wrapped it around the bottom of those pots and kept I kept some cool shade then on those roots.
And reflected the sun because they were white.
Exactly, and I kind of wrapped them around the pot too, that black plastic pot. Right. So I reflected some of that sun, tucked in some of that white towel just around the perimeter there.
Water the hell out of it.
Gave it enough room so I could get the water into the root, and those guys are doing great.
Yeah, they don't.
Just a temporary fix now, but I essentially kind of mulched with white towel is what I did.
But the silly little secret. The silly little secret to make them grow. Oh, and speaking of that, I've got some seeds for you at home that Belle and I were doing this story, and this woman has a vanilla scented clematis from seed, and it dies back to the ground every year, and it was outstanding.
I gotta get some.
Oh,
of those.
I got them at my house. I'll give you. You could buy a couple seeds. For me.
It's gone from a gift to a purchase. I don't know how this is working.
He goes, I'll give you one.
Hey man,
I'll give you one.
I'll meet you in the corner of the playground.
I'll give you one seed. See if you like it. Then you can call. Then you can call me later on.
First one's free, man.
Right, you call me later on.
But they die back every year, and then they come back.
This thing was 6 feet tall.
But it dies the whole vine?
Every year.
That's interesting.
And it was, I don't know why people aren't selling this plant. It is outstanding. It was beautiful, little tiny flowers, almost like a star jasmine kind of flower.
Okay.
And beautiful scent, and grows like the dickens, man.
But that whole vine dies, is what you're saying?
Everything, boom.
And so you cut it back every year is the idea?
Well, yeah, sure.
I mean,
you could either cut it back or just wait.
But you can leave the vines, and the new growth go.
No, it's herbaceous. It goes down to the ground.
It's herbaceous. Okay, got it.
It goes right down to the ground. I was amazed. It was
Ooh, I
And
can't wait. I really want to try that now.
You just have to send me a text to
Yeah,
sort of remind
okay,
me.
I will.
But
I
I'm
will.
sure you will do that.
That lady sounds pretty cool. What was her story, real quick?
Her story is it's Mary McGuire
Oh,
Lerman,
you told me. Yeah, you've talked about
who
her.
used to run the whole.
Yeah.
We should have Mary on one day. She
Oh,
got
I
more
love that.
more stories than anybody in the world.
Fill in case this is a new listener to the podcast and hasn't heard us talk about Mary McGuire Lerman.
She was the head of the Minnesota parks, so she was in charge of all the gardens, and she is a gardening
For years
expert.
she did that.
For years,
Yeah,
she
for
just
years and years.
retired.
Yeah.
She just retired.
Lake Harriet Rose Garden, this,
Yep,
that,
the
everything.
Peace Garden,
Yep,
everything.
All
And
of that.
She is, besides a hoot, she's funny as all hell.
Nice.
But she's a font of knowledge. And we can get her on here. She'd be more than
Yeah,
happy
let's
to come.
do that.
Maybe
That would
next
be-
week. Maybe
that-
I'll give her a call later and see
That
if
would
she
be
wants
great
to come
fun
over.
to get her on.
So we were at her house
Okay.
because it's a garden tour last week.
Okay.
And, last week we were on a podcast. It was a while ago.
It was recent.
And then we interviewed a gentleman, like I told you, Harold Wilkins, who brought all these plants to the United States from different countries that no one had even thought about before, like Alstroemeria. And he told me his story how Ecke, which is the poinsettia people,
Yep.
here, and this is all Minnesota. This is all at the University of Minnesota. He figured out how to graft one of the poinsettias that made a great big bloom to another poinsettia that grew lots of stems.
Okay.
So that Ecke could make better cuttings.
Oh, sure.
He shared that with the world. He said to me, sadly, Paul died hating me. Because he wanted it to be his and his alone.
But it was
Harold's.
Harold's.
Harold shared it with the world. And just crazy. Miniature roses. He was in Japan.
And brought those here.
Cut a little cutting off, stuck in his pocket.
Yep.
And brought miniature potted roses
Isn't that cool?
from Japan.
This sounds like a Christopher, explore. I don't want to use the word Columbus. I did because I'm not a fan of him. But the point is, it sounds like what the adventurers used to do.
Right.
The explorers, they would bring
They'd bring
plants
back
in
plants
the ship's hold or
right.
on the deck and
Yep,
back and
yep.
forth. And
So he did a lot of cool things like this. He's at the Mill City Market with flowers.
Is
cut
that right?
flowers
Oh,
every
good.
Saturday.
I love going to that market.
Look him up.
Yeah.
Look, he's selling flowers.
All right.
Say, Harold.
Harold
What's going
Wilkins,
on?
give me some of those Alstomerias.
Give
Give
me
me some
some
of
of
those
them.
roses. What do you got, Harold?
But
Harold, do I have to meet you in the corner of Bobby's Playground too, Harold? No,
he doesn't have the plant.
All right.
I got the
You got the
seeds.
stuff. You got the goods.
What else? Cukes. Harvest your cukes. Harvest things that are ready to be harvested. Don't let them rot on the vine. If you don't want them, give them to somebody. Donate them.
The whole zucchini
nice
on the
thing-
front stoop thing. Go
Right,
ahead and do it.
right.
The
The nice thing now is a lot of food shelves will take produce.
Yeah, they will.
Where
That's
before
true.
they didn't.
Yeah, good point, Bob.
Now, hey, you got, grow a couple of tomato plants for your local food shelf.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
so
great
many
idea.
things you can do. Because I get crazy when I see people with, like 18 tomato plants. That's a lot of
That's a
freaking
lot of
tomatoes.
Yeah, unless you're doing some serious
Unless
canning.
you're canning
Yeah,
like crazy or
yeah.
you're giving them away or doing something with them. Grow what you can use, and what you can't use, don't turn it in. Give it.
Yeah.
Use it. Do it. Use it for good.
And if you don't have a food shelf handy,
Call us.
Know that my email address is btvoice, BEETEA voice at gmail.com, and send it along to me, and we'll be just fine. Because I'm doing a bunch of canning this. Lori and I are really going to
Belle
we're
and
going to get
I-
into some huge canning this fall.
Belle
so.
and I, maybe we should have you on because Belle and I, we talked
We
about
do
doing
that?
canning. Neither of us know how to do it.
Oh, really?
I conceptually I know how to do it.
Yeah.
I've never physically done canning.
Yeah.
And I would love to do.
Oh,
canning.
let's do that. I'll do a segment. We'll do a
We could
segment
do
with
that.
you. Sure.
That'd be way cool. We'll find out. First, we were going to ask her mom,
Yeah.
but if Mom Jensen
Yeah.
knocks us down, you're next, babe.
All right. Sounds good. Works
That-
for me.
And then she's up the lake, so there's a good shot that
Yeah,
she
there's a
won't
good
come
chance
down.
she won't make it
She
there.
won't be
And
coming down.
what's her address up there?
Up
Something
the lake,
just
yeah.
might
send,
happen.
Send somebody up to make an offer she can't refuse. In the future, I think we're going to start talking about native plants.
Yeah.
We did with Tom once.
Yes, we did.
And it might be Tom time again one of these days. But native plants.
Tommy Tennant.
There are a lot more things to choose from now than in the old days. The old days, native plants were scrub bushes. Now you can have just as much beauty with native plants. And you want to talk about lazy gardening?
Oh, it's the best way to do
They
it.
live here.
That's
They
the
know
best way
here.
to do it.
It's a good thing. So I think we should revisit that because, once we get through this crazy time, it's going to be time that you can start planting again.
Exactly, and isn't that ironic? Because or for some lazy gardeners, it's ironic because you think that spring planting is the only time you plant. Come on, no. On the contrary, like we said, get that second planting in of leaf lettuce or that first round, like me. Those kind of things you can get them in right now, and other plants as well. And remember this about the native plant thing is that you might have some coneflowers out there, other things that are from Oklahoma, that might be from Missouri, and all of that. And, they're in your garden center or whatever, but there's nothing like planting the Minnesota coneflower,
right.
because that is going to be
It's
the lazy,
native.
because it really is going to make a difference. It's going to make a difference. The kind of need and care and everything
Minimal.
everything about its growth is meant to be Minnesota because that's where it's coming from.
And that's what it's
Just
learned,
use that
and
as like a broad-based example.
It's hybridized. It's to itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's acclimatized. Let's
to
use
itself,
that a better word.
to its
To the-
topography, to its terroir,
Exactly.
all of that.
And
Yeah.
that's why, sometimes when people, blue spruce, that's one of my favorite. Blue. You know what the name of blue spruce is?
I don't, but I love
Colorado blue spruce.
You're right.
So therefore, you should live in Colorado.
If you're going to have it, yeah.
Right. I mean, some of them are gorgeous, and I do understand it, but they do seem not to like this zone. I don't think
As
they like
pretty as they can
cities.
be,
I don't think I think eventually down the line, you're looking for something that just doesn't live here.
Yeah.
And that's why there are species. There are species that do live in or grew up around here. I mean, North Dakota, places like that, where they live here.
Yep.
You've got less problems down the line.
Yep, with bugs and
With
the
everything.
resistance to them,
With
everything.
everything.
Yeah, the soil, the
With
kind of
everything.
climate it is, everything that happens.
So buy and plant local
Yeah, we'll get Tommy on again because
he's a hoot and a half.
yes, he is.
He's
and
a good man.
He's really got the lowdown. I'm trying to remember which episode we had him on, but just you know what I'm going to say.
Two, maybe two.
maybe 2 or 3. But if you're listening to the show right now, just scroll up a little bit. They're all pretty well labeled, easily defined by their label. You'll see like Minnesota native plants or something like that on the podcast label, and you can go and listen to that. And we'll invite him back.
Outback Nursery.
Outback Nursery. He's the guy.
Outback Nursery, and he was Outback Nursery before it got hip to do natives.
Yeah, that's right. He's
He's
been
been
around for a long
doing
time.
it when people would say, "What the heck are you growing that stuff for?"
Well, yeah, exactly.
Oh, true.
That's a weed.
He was
What are you
just the
doing?
weird
Yeah.
old guy. No, weird young guy at that
yeah.
time.
Weird hippie young guy.
Still,
Yeah, exactly.
except he's older.
Yeah, that's what I was going
Except
to
he's
say.
older. He's
Just to give you a little insight into the lazy gardener method, that cocktails are involved, and I think of the shows we've done so far, that's maybe the one or two where we've taken our guests and it's like, well, we need cocktails after the program. We made our way over to Pat's Tap in the neighborhood of the Alive and Social Network, and we had our time at the bar
well,
talking
we don't
about
have a
some
big
lazy
budget,
gardening
but
too.
we can take him out for a cocktail.
Limited budget, which again leads me to say, if you've got extra tomatoes,
Right,
btvoice at gmail.com.
Cukes. We could use some cukes.
Yep.
Nice. Make some cucumber salads. or something.
BJMN952 at gmail.com.
Right,
You let us know, even though Bobby and Belinda aren't too hip to the canning thing, we're going to make them so, or Bobby, as Bobby said, Belinda's mom might, but all the same, we're going to get some
We're going to do
canning
a
rocking.
unit. We're probably going to do a unit.
We're going to get some rocking going on with the
Right.
canning, and there's nothing like cracking open a February can of tomatoes and putting it in the tomato sauce or the gravy.
The gravy.
You
It's
put it
the
in the
gravy.
gravy,
It's the
or
gravy.
you're making a
Not
hot
the
dish.
brown stuff,
No,
but the gravy.
You're making a hot dish or something. You need some tomatoes,
hot
some canned
dish?
a casserole.
A casserole.
that calls for canned tomatoes.
And what's that ground up stuff you guys put on top of it? The onion cook, or whatever.
The French's,
The French's-
the dried onions.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, fabulous.
Put that on your hot dish
right,
there.
right. And
Get
I
some
guess
tater tots on there.
and then a can of cream of
No,
something soup.
no,
You pour that on there.
no.
And that's everyone that I've seen.
The
It's
only canned
three-
stuff I go for is the French's dried onions. That's
okay.
it.
You
Otherwise,
don't-
no.
you don't
We're making our sauces
cream
on
of
our
celery.
own. Cream of mushroom soup.
No,
No, too much sodium, Bob.
You're not.
Too much sodium.
You may not be from around around here.
I still call it hot dish. And I like tater tots. Maybe that's part 2. I'll use some frozen tater tots.
Once in a while.
Well, look what we did. Another edition of the Lazy Gardener Show under our belts.
A couple more weeks, we may have to increase this.
I think we shall, sir.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to seeing you the next time here on the Alive and Social Network with that guy right there.
Bobby Jensen.
And yours truly, BT. Thanks for listening to the Lazy Gardeners.
Be cool out there, folks.